code.
I mean, if there's will be any issues with anyone, they can just always approach us and we can just re-upload it somewhere. We haven't heard anything, so yeah.
Yeah, so on the YouTube point, the foundation publishes all their stuff on YouTube. I don't know if they publish it elsewhere, but I think that's fine.
Fantastic. Alrighty, so let's kick it off. Welcome to the third OpenStack Helm working group. Thank you everybody for joining. It seems like there's more and more people entering every day, which is great. A lot of interest in this space. For those who haven't already entered, there is an Etherpad that we're working off that I am just going to throw in the chat. Feel free to jump in there. And any items, we're kind of working off that agenda today, and feel free to interject. The pattern that we used last time for this was kind of, we did a stand-up, pass the ball around the room, and everybody gets an opportunity to tell us what they're working on, if there's any blockers. And then once we go around the room, we can focus on an individual item or any items that seem to be of interest. Does that work for everyone? Cool. Would you like to take it away, Matt?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Matt Butcher. I'm Technosophos in the Helm room. So last time I gave a quick update on the state of Helm 2.2 and promised that this week I would again do that and give an update on the kind of status for 2.3. So 2.2 is well underway. We're closing in pretty quickly on the last, I think, 4 or 5 open issues on there. The goal for us is to get that done by February 14th, by Valentine's Day. And we seem to be on track for delivering then, if not even a tiny bit early. We're getting to the point where we're prepping to plan for 2.3 and kind of lock down that roadmap. Typically what we do is we try and pick out a couple of fairly large size features and then a bunch of smaller features, and then of course we've got bug fixes and refactoring work and stuff like that, and bundle that together fairly well in advance. So later on we can talk about, I know there are several issues that you all collectively have found that have sort of bubbled up to the top, and I'd love to hear feedback for which of those you all feel are high priority. But we will start, Adam and I and Michelle will start going through the rough triage for 2.3 later on this week. So yeah, we're all in Boulder right now. We're on the whole company is in this room over here except for us. So we're doing our company planning meeting. So I'll pass.
I didn't want to interrupt while you were talking. I just thought I'd type it in. So
yeah, I'll pass it on to Adam. You want to introduce yourself and go through?
Yeah, so I've been on the Helm team here at Deus, really focusing on a lot of the Kubernetes API client work. Are we doing stand-ups or?
Yeah, just kind of, yeah.
Just anything general that you're working on at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I've been working on refactoring a lot of the client stuff, trying to simplify a lot of the interactions so we can have a little bit more control over upgrades. Right now we're relying on a lot of the kubectl magic, which doesn't allow us to hook into to pull out a lot of information as far as what's actually being upgraded and stuff. So a lot of my focus has been around that. And yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. I can pass it over to Kevin.
Let's see here.
Kevin, why don't you talk about 0.4.0? I think that's the big news.
Oh, yeah. We just released 0.4.0. It has all the kind of base objects that we've been using for deployment as micro packages. And those should be pretty stable now, and then we're starting to work on combining them together into service packages so that they'll be more easy to deploy.
Just to add to that, I guess I'll take the next part of the stand-up. There are release notes available. I'll put them in the Etherpad if folks want to see what went into 0.4.0, just so folks have an idea of what has been developed over the last month or so. We typically have 1 month sprints upstream, although over Christmas we kind of fell off that cadence because Christmas breaks everything. So.
Yeah, and from my side, I will also add that we started to talk around what would need for Kola to pretty much be. How to achieve the situation when we'll have our presence in Kubernetes charts, and we had a couple discussions already. One of the requirements. The versioning of the repositories, whatever, a couple of days ago. So yeah, we kicked off this discussion as well.
Feel free to pass it on. From there, does that kind of conclude the Kubernetes?
I think if folks want to pass on, they can pick the next person in line because everybody kind of knows what everybody else is working on and call it Kubernetes. So that might make sense. So
is Sergey on?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
There was something you had. I can't remember what it was though.
Right. A couple of things. Currently, I'm working on the operator for memcached. And the operator.
Do you have anything? I think that merits.
And it's a piece of Python code, and basically I'm calling Helm to install different microservices. So it seems to be okay, but basically this and the requirement for labels surfaced again, and I understand that there's a chance that adding labels from the Helm install command line is possible in 2.3.0. I was curious if there is any chance to have it in 2.2.0. Just a question. So that's one of the.
This was the requirement that you could run Helm install -- label foo equals bar.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that would be automatically added to the rendered template, because that would save a lot of typing on our side, since we don't have to add those labels in the specifications.
To the rendered templates or to the release, so you could find the release again.
Kevin, yeah, you're right. To the release, to the actual release that gets pushed to the cluster.
So every object on a particular release would get the labels that were passed from Helm install -- label.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you actually need that functionality, or can you query by release and say, I want to know which release was created with this operator, and then you can further introspect the things owned by it?
Kevin, I don't want to rely on Helm providing me that information. I want to rely on the Kubernetes API to tell me which objects are actually running and their state. So I need a label, one way or another.
Yeah, that's gonna be a requirement for upgrades at some point, right? I mean, in upgrades, we assume we just have Kubernetes. I mean, Kubernetes will be single source of truth, if you know what I mean.
Exactly, yes, Mikhail, that's what my point too. So we have to use API as a single point of truth.
Well, I guess the other problem there, though, is then you have to know what's in the Helm packages very intimately, whereas maybe there's a way to ask Helm what's the status of its release, right?
Well, but you will need to store the information somewhere anyway, right? So imagine this, look, we deploy something with Helm, with a label, and we need to store this label somewhere. If I would say that for upgrade, you would need freshly checked out Cola code and charts, and Kubernetes which running compatible previous Cola version, right? Which means all the state info should be in Kubernetes itself.
Yeah.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is the operator should be able to say, Helm, tell me all releases that have this tag on it because I'm the one that owns those releases, and then be able to walk through that list of releases and status them and upgrade them and do those sorts of things. And maybe they don't need to know the intimate details of the package, the objects that the package owns.
Yeah, Kevin. I mean,
Right.
the label is stored in a third-party object. So basically, it's easy to get that label and use it for for some other activities like querying some information. I mean, we could have a more detailed discussion about that because I don't think it's 100% related to the current request.
Sure. I'm just saying in general, Kubernetes, any object you have, you can label and then you can query all objects that have that label. I think we might want the same feature for Helm releases, so we can find out all releases that have a particular label tagged onto them.
But still, the Kubernetes has to have a label because it is a single point of truth, because all objects are there. Maybe something will not be visible or accessible to Helm, so that's why
Right.
and,
So just
I think they're two separate orthogonal issues.
yeah.
Kevin, real quick, just a point of order. If people could not make requests for specific timelines, because I think that's uncomfortable. At least it would be if I were in Deus's shoes. So if you could say this is like a higher priority, this is a lower priority, I think that would work better and help Deus prioritize stuff and Helm upstream prioritize stuff more appropriately than asking for a specific feature in a specific version. Does that make sense, Latchy, or am I way off base there?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think what I want to just do is just reel it back in. I've just added this as a parking lot item. So if we can go through and everybody can kind of just give their current status, and I can take a running list, and then we'll open the floor up to parking lot. And then we could work through and prioritize what this means and whether they, fall into 2.3, what issues are outstanding. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, so you want to just finish the stand-up?
So let's finish the stand-up. I've taken the labeling thing as a parking lot item that we can discuss given time at the end, but I want to be respectful to everybody who hasn't had an opportunity to speak, at least stand-up wise. So if anybody would like to take the floor, I can't see everybody on there. J. Scott 1.
Justin?
Yeah, I'm here, sorry.
Okay, so maybe the requirements, I think?
Yeah, so I tried to get you, Matt, yesterday. So what I did was I did a little quick implementation of a condition in requirements and chart, which I found to be less useful. I don't know if you get to look at the back scroll in the Helm channel, but essentially, you take requirements entry of a chart and add a condition field with a YAML path, in our case, it'd be, subchart.enabled in the field. And this comes from an issue that's in the Helm queue. I can get back with the issue number. But essentially, it allows you to control the enabling and disabling of charts from your values file. And I did all the work in the chart util load, mostly anyway. And had to add a helper method to be able to get to the value. It seemed you might have a better way to get to the value. But anyway, I got like a proof of concept code, and it works. Seems to work.
Sorry, I was offline most yesterday in meetings out here, but I will come back to that, and you and I should chat about that if you have time today.
Cool. Yeah, I've already got like a little example explanation and the fork and everything, so it should be pretty easy to talk about.
Okay.
I didn't know if that was still something. If you had mentioned in the original issue, you had looked into it a little bit. I didn't know, was it off the table, or are you still open to that, you think? Or
Adam and I had talked about it a little bit a while back, and it was just one of those cases where neither of us had bandwidth to deal with it at the time.
Oh, right on.
So this could be very helpful.
Cool. Yeah, I think it would really help us. It's definitely a next step into being able to selectively enable and disable, and it might help us with our complicated umbrella of charts we've got going.
Yeah.
Cool.
You looked at this one already?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you. That was great. Steve Wilkerson, would you like to take the stand?
Yeah, sure. Currently,
sorry, that's a poor choice of words.
It's all right. Currently working on getting back into some Cola Kubernetes stuff, but also working with Brandon, working on the OpenStack Helm stuff on our side as well. So kind of trying to keep one foot on each side of the fence and not doing a very good balancing act right now, but that's something I'm wanting to fix. Also recently looking into like getting more involved with Helm just in general. Actually really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. I'm a developer by background, so like getting out of the app space a little bit and actually like playing with Go has been really nice. So yeah, I'm really loving it. So that's actually probably going to be like a big part of my focus going forward. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't have any anything blocking me, but the dynamic dependencies thing, I saw that and that kind of caught my attention. So yeah, I'd be interested to see where that goes. I think everyone's probably got their feelings on it. I'm sure mine are probably not the same as others, but wouldn't mind being part of that conversation too.
Fantastic. Thank you. We have username JongHQ.
I guess that you mentioned me.
Yes. Do you have anything to share, Wang?
I do not have much this time. This is the first my meeting with you.
Okay.
Currently, I work on SAP, CEBS, OSD, and I think I got some minor issues related to I need pass some argument or option from runtime environment to the Helm chart. But I think I can find some workaround or I get some help from Cola community. Maybe next time I will come back if I still have issues on it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Welcome.
Welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Username Quang, Q Wang.
Hi, this is Qing Wan here. This is also my first time attending this meeting. Currently, I'm focusing on the dynamic dependency stuff. So I'm looking at the Cola Kubernetes side to see if we can try to achieve go through the template rendering, and yeah, that's what I'm basically working on right now.
Great. Yeah,
Perfect. Welcome, and thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Was there anybody else that we missed?
Do you want to do you?
I could do myself. So I think the only thing to come up in the last week was about repo management and how that relates to upstream chart repository being Kubernetes/charts. So there was a lot of discussion in and around that. If there's any more to talk about that, I'm happy to field it, but I don't know that we had a solid agreement. But that's it from me.
So last time I've heard from Kevin, it seems like the versioning, we have a couple issues. And Kevin, feel free to drop in and correct me. But a couple issues that I think we have is one is the versioning, major versions versus minor versions. We had a discussion a couple of days ago, and I think we get. Kevin told me that you guys found pretty neat idea with Helm install OpenStack Newton, and then Helm install Cola Nova, for example. So you do major upgrades using installation of repositories, which is neat. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but you need there's some feature needed in Helm as well to make it work, right?
This was the -- version equals 0.3.x.
No.
No, this was the idea that you could put in a meta package into Kubernetes charts that would just contain another repository to add to the repo list.
Okay.
And then each major version could have its own repo.
Right, okay. Got it.
And I had been talking about doing that plugin. That would probably fall out of the plugin management style stuff instead of the chart stuff, since plugin manager plugin will then have access to the local list of repositories.
Yeah.
I'm telling Adam because I forgot
I don't think
to
I
mention
quite
this to him at all.
Yeah, I don't think I quite follow. So a chart would set up a new repo for the client.
Yeah, so one of the things that Red Hat can do is you can install an RPM that installs a repo for you, so you can manage repositories as packages. So this would be a way for Cola to be able to say, to install the relevant repositories for us, run this. And the main issue is for us is that plugins have access to the local environment while charts don't, and this has to get installed into the local Helm home environment. But Adam's been working on plugin management, which would make installing plugins approximately as easy as a chart.
Yeah.
And so we could build plugins that would modify the local. And again, they're more shell scripty, but they're super easy to do.
Well, I guess this leads to another question. Why are our repositories done on the client and not managed in the server? Is it going to run into problems where a set of administrators are going to have different repository lists on their client and breakage happens? Most distros have one central place where no matter which user runs the command, they all use the same set of repositories. Just kind of curious.
Yeah, and our primary motivation was we didn't want to open up, well, there were a few things, but we didn't want Tiller itself to be the thing that accessed the repositories, primarily because it requires opening up cluster to outside cluster traffic and changes auditability requirements and some of that kind of stuff. And also to serve, and actually an earlier version of this did have the in-cluster component doing all of that resolution, and it became a nightmare to manage where people were tromping on each other's repos and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was wondering more
procedural problem for operators.
Call it a day.
Yeah, I'm wondering more why not have like the list of repositories be on a namespace or something. The list is maintained by Tiller, but it's pulled by the client, and then
this is
done that way.
Really cool to do with the plugin. Make it so that they can synchronize against a known repository list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about finding an alternative way around this problem. But that'd be cool. You could have, an org could have a plugin that they used to declare their definitive list of repos and stuff like that, and use that instead of Helm repo up or Helm repo add or stuff like that. That's a good idea.
I created the issue in Kubernetes charts for this particular thing. I'm gonna link the issue. I'm gonna link this issue into the minutes, so we can continue the discussion there.
Okay, fantastic. So if there wasn't anybody who was missed in, I've taken just some parking lot items. Feel free to add any. And do we want to do we want to go through, the 2.3 solicitation for feature requests?
Well, actually, before we do that, I don't know if Sergey covered this, and I was having internet troubles, which I fixed. We've been implementing our service level packages as well for OpenStack. So like you can do a Helm install Nova or Helm install Neutron, something like that. And that uses the microservice packages, the Helm packages that we have. So that's another update. I think Sergey didn't give that, but that's in progress now as well. So yeah, I think proceeding on to the 2.3 work would make sense from this point.
Okay. So the current known flagship thing we're talking about for 2.3 is the plugin management stuff, where managing plugins should be as easy as managing repos and installing stuff. So Adam's been working on some design work, and if you want to talk about it, that's cool. Or if you feel like you're not quite ready, that's cool too.
Yeah, so the thought behind it is to have some sort of management layer for plugins that allows you to do installs, fetches, upgrades, that sort of thing. And it's going to manage your local plugin environment. So there's a few different models we've been playing with. Haven't written any code for it yet, but as soon as we have something fleshed out, I'll post in the issue, or I don't think is there an issue for it? I don't think
there's an issue for it.
I'll create an issue for it, and then people can kind of take a look at it and comment on it, but kind of in this design state still.
Also, guys, I have a personal request for you all. If we found ourselves in a situation when we need some feature and you don't have manpower to do it, just tell us, because we also have Golang developers in our midst. We can help you, and we can just cooperate on that stuff. So just tell us whenever you need help, pretty much.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to add on the plugin stuff?
No, that's pretty much the state of it.
Yeah, so am I missing any other really big features that we've been saying we were going to do in there? There's some updates on...
That's a lot of like cleanup kind of work, and then the test one, but
that's in 2.2. Yeah, I think
those are the major things, I think.
I think the plugin management was supposed to be the biggest one there. We're trying to improve some of the SSL certificate management stuff. So we may try and get some of that into 2.3. There's already some stuff coming in 2.2. The umbrella chart one is the one that from you all has come up most frequently. The idea that it would be nice to have a parent chart and be able to install, to select in some way the different ways that, or the different subcharts that get installed. Sounds like Justin's solution may be the current leader in how we'd see that done. So your solution, Justin, was to allow it configurable by values.yaml or by dash like that?
Yeah, no, it just simply adds a condition field to chart or requirements and entries. And yeah, in chart util load, it loads the values of the parent chart, looks for the path that was specified in the condition, and then if it's there and it evaluates to false, then it doesn't load it. So it's basically on by default, and then if you explicitly set a condition in YAML path and then return a false explicitly, then it will not load it.
Yeah, okay.
That was my stab at it.
But this covers only one part of the problem. So basically selective selection of the subcharts. The second part of the original request was being able to deploy the subchart without deploying the parent chart and using some variables which were defined for a parent chart for a subchart.
Sergey, wouldn't that be pretty much equivalent to just deploying a chart that is subchart? Like,
yeah, but you see, I mean, we wanted the original goal was, to have a common variables which would apply to all subcharts.
Right. You want to install the subchart but use the parent's values, right?
Exactly, yes. So it's like to have a global for a Nova, but I want to install just Nova Compute, but still using without copying those globals to the subchart. You know, that was the goal, one of the part, at least.
So it would be closer to a whitelisting approach. So Justin's is a blacklisting approach, right? You turn off the charts you don't want.
Right. I think the issue though is that the parents' values, right, don't, when you just install the subchart, you don't get access to the parents' values. So it's that best handled.
So, but yeah, so we would have to do it where you're installing the parent chart, right? Like only installing the parent chart plus one subchart, then you can create these kind of umbrella ones that declare 15 or 20 subcharts, each of which is relatively standalone, except that they share the inherited values from the parents.
Yeah. You know, I think our end goal is like we have this big values file that controls all of OpenStack essentially, and we need to just have that available, you know, right? Is that right, guys? That's what it seems like to me.
So
Has the global API stuff alleviated the need for that?
Yeah, I thought that was useful.
Yeah, because I think we worked around it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But you see, I mean, there was a request. I think it came from Steven, basically, to, let's say, how can we eliminate pre-built phase?
Oh, this is the. I want to have a library chart, and I want to have its values ripple to the parent.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
That use case.
It almost sounds like this would get rid of the pre-build problem that we have in our code base and probably solve a lot of other pre-building tools.
We could get rid of it if we had that feature and the ability to have local dependencies would really help too.
Okay. Yeah, you know, the reason I made that request is because we really want to go Helm native as much as possible. We don't want a whole bunch of variance in how the Cola Kubernetes is structured versus what upstream might expect. But again, we want to be able to deploy microservices individually from a chart, and then deploy kind of Nova, and then have that deploy the services in the chart. So that's what kind of the umbrella thing that we've been talking about. Now, how that filters out into a feature, I don't know. That's kind of a complicated thing.
Yeah.
So my question would be something different. Like, for example, in Ansible, we technically don't have this feature. Like, we cannot deploy just Nova Compute when you don't have this ability in Ansible. Nobody wanted this ability, but that's mostly because
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, nobody asked for it, as far as I know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And the reason is Cola Ansible is supposed to be idempotent at all. So, well, maybe it's. I mean, I'm not saying this is not really relevant, but maybe just ensuring that we have idempotent deployments would kind of solve it. And
I'll go ahead and formally ask then. For Cola Kubernetes, I plan on taking an existing cloud and replacing a piece at a time until I get fully over to Cola Kubernetes.
Okay, so that's the use case you're referring to, right? So just,
yeah.
Okay.
Actually, the use case I'm referring to as well is for people that want to use operators to orchestrate the microservices themselves, or use an operator to orchestrate the services themselves and help.
Right.
So there's two use cases there. There's Kevin's, and then there's the operator use case, and the K8S operator, not the human, warm-blooded kind.
Okay, so I see the use case where just in Ansible we didn't support it so far.
Yeah, I mean there's kind of the roles concept for compute at least, but everything else, yeah, you're right. Definitely, we didn't have per microservice deployment, which It's not really a problem for Cola Ansible. It's a bit of a problem for cloud native apps because of the way we need to structure the code base or the implementation to make it work properly.
Well, if I were switching to Cola Ansible from my existing deployment, I probably would have been requesting the same feature there.
Okay, well, that's we assumed greenfield in Cola. Yeah, I mean, but that's a valid point. I didn't think of it.
Yeah.
So somebody used a word that triggered something in my mind that was something that we could consider doing here. And this is admittedly me making things more complex than they were a moment ago, which I try not to do. But what if we tried to label the in the requirements doc, what if we supported the ability to label things by role? And we defined a section in requirements.yaml for each entry in there that was something like roles, and it was a list of string names. So you could say, role Nova, because we know that Nova, well, at least last I checked, Nova itself can't run totally in isolation of the rest. Okay, Nova's a bad example. What if we said something like role, Nova and basic IaaS or something like that, and we defined, so you could install Helm install my parent umbrella chart -- role equals Nova, and it would install just the things in the requirements that were that were rolled as part of Nova. Or Helm install -- role basic IaaS, and it might install Nova and Swift and so on.
So I would.
So kind of like label selectors.
Would help
That
us.
might actually work. Actually, I don't know. What do you think, Kevin? Do you think that would work, or Sergey?
Yeah, so that'd be kind of like the label selector thing we were talking about before, but for subcharts, not the parent.
So yeah, as far as I understand it, if we would, for example, create, let's call it a label or tag. I use again Ansible phrase tag for it. It's like Helm install -- label or -- tag Nova compute, and Helm install OpenStack Nova -- tag Nova compute will install only subcharts with tag Nova compute. That could work, I think.
Would that solve some of your cases, Sergey, that you brought up in the past?
Yeah, I want to make sure that with this command, the parent chart, like the Nova, will not be installed, right? Only the subchart will be installed. Is that correct? Or
if we tag it correctly, like parent chart will not have tag Nova compute, will have tag Nova, and will say install only tags Nova compute.
yeah, no, Mikhail, I agree. I understand. I want the confirmation from Matt that that's how he thought as well.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm thinking mainly in terms of you are installing the parent chart and then selectively subcharts based on role.
You see, you're referring to parent and the subchart, but we're referring only to the subchart.
So you're using the subchart as, you're using the parent chart just as a distribution mechanism where you can launch individual things out of it
and collect all the values. So you might have a values.file with a whole bazillion globals defined, but no templates. You would say these are the roles that are that each subchart can fulfill inside of this parent chart. And so we gain the advantage of being able to define all of the values in one place. But then and maybe it is the case that there would be a few templates, like you might want to inject some global layer config maps that anything can mount anywhere along the line there.
Here's the problem.
Okay.
If you have a global Nova chart, right? So we deploy global Nova chart that doesn't have any templates, just the variables and the subchart. And then we want to deploy another subchart, but using a different operation. Would it not create a conflict, like that we have two Nova subcharts, like in terms of the Helm? Would it not create a conflict that you already have that chart deployed or something like that?
Those would be separate releases, so I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so they would use a different names.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you wanted to, so that would present one kind of slightly counterintuitive case, where if I deployed, so say I deploy Nova and I get the release name Happy Panda, right? And then I want to add on Swift to that current release, I would end up using Helm upgrade -- role Nova, Swift, and then it would upgrade Happy Panda to have Nova and Swift in the same release. Otherwise,
Right.
if I did it without doing the upgrade, I would get a fresh install of Swift with, sad rabbit or something, and so I would have two different releases that would then be managed separately from there on.
So
Right.
that can be, on the other hand, leveraged by the minor versus major versioning kind of thing. So before you install Nova Happy Panda, you install Helm install OpenStack /OpenStack -Happy Panda, and then every time you call install Nova, it will only install Happy Panda kind of version, right?
I think this is going to be a general problem with service level packages or even higher umbrella packages. If they're all packaged into one set, then they're not going to be easily upgradable separate from each other. So you can't say, have one package to deploy all of ComputeKit and then go and upgrade just Neutron.
Yeah, but that's not what we're doing, right? We're having service per service pretty much. Like Neutron will be separate from Swift.
Yeah, I mean, this would give you the kind of interesting capability to say, if you really wanted to run every service independently, you could go through the burdensome but possible route of installing one role at a time as separate releases and then handle the wiring up yourself. Whereas if you wanted to manage it all as one bundle, you could install the whole thing together.
Yeah, I guess so.
Operators slightly more flexibility, but then the burden falls on everybody else to make sure that the operator can actually do that.
So I think the other cool side effect of that is that would allow us to go to a hierarchical chart format and get rid of the pre-built step. So
no, I think that's not going to work, because there's definite cases where we need to share one package between multiple different parents. It's a graph. It's not a tree.
Yeah,
not a tree. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so there would be cases where if you really wanted to be able to support an operator doing it that way, it would require significantly more burden either on the chart maintainer or the operator to manually glue things together. So it might not solve, it might solve some problems well and potentially just make other things far more confusing.
Yeah,
it's just a different way of ordering things, but I think it's still going
to... Sorry.
I was for having separate microservice packages just so that I know exactly what I'm going to deploy, and I'm not going to there's not going to be a bunch of code that I'm not going to deploy. So it's easier to get warm and fuzzies as an operator that it's not going to mess things up. If you throw it all in one big super package bucket and then try to turn it off, you don't get that kind of functionality.
But if we keep the same architecture like we have today and have completely optional smaller umbrella service packet chart, so to say, like we have a chart compute kit which will have subcharts Nova, Neutron, whatnot, right?
Yeah, and we're doing that right now without any extra features required.
Yeah, but we could have like more of this, I guess, if we have like empty charts this way. But okay, maybe I'm just not in. I just don't understand the problem enough. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying I don't know if there's a problem to solve here anymore.
Well, Kevin, the problem that we want to solve is to be more Helm native, and whatever that means. We want to get there. Of course, we want to retain the ability to deploy the microservices as charts individually, right? So we want that capability. We definitely need that. I would put that ahead of kind of the Helm native approach. which is why we have the pre-build. That's why we made that compromise on the pre-build. So maybe there's a compromise to be made in terms of how to do the implementation that Matt can come up with. I don't know the Helm implementation in detail, unfortunately.
So the build stuff does three things. It spawns a Helm server because DepUps can only pull from a running server, and that's what the request for a local path dependency was for, so that we wouldn't have to run a server. Two is we have a library and we need to get values into the parent for that library. So that feature request of being able to have values defined in a library chart and have them ripple up to the parent would make things more Helm native. And three is just to have some kind of build script that can build the 90-something packages that we have.
Hey, Kevin.
So, Kevin, I think you just covered the what and why of the requirements we have, and that's fantastic. Have you written that down anywhere in any issue track or anything? Because I think we need the what and why.
Yeah, we can do that.
If we don't have the what and the why, it's hard for other people to make a judgment on what needs to change in Helm, because some of us are not obviously Helm implementers, so we don't know how to do that implementation work there. Whereas Matt is
where should we get that down on paper? Is that an issue in Helm? Is that an Etherpad?
Yeah, I would say Helm issues would be. I mean, that's how you guys track your work, right?
Yeah.
But it's not exactly an issue. It's just the way we're doing things now, with a request of how do we make it more Helm native, or how?
Well, I would still create an issue. I mean, issue don't need to be closed if it's not an issue, but it's a place for, I mean, discussion just about that. Yeah, if you guys don't have
we can do that.
Yeah, so Kevin, what that would do is engage the entire Helm community and the Cola community on kind of solving those problems as one group of people rather than two silos. So that, communication there would be key. I think in terms of the other requirements we might have for Helm, following that same pattern would be useful as well. I found that pattern to be extremely valuable. Actually, how do you feel about that? Or Matt, does that work for you, or is that off base for how you guys work?
I'm going to answer first unless you... It's great for me.
Yeah, I think that forum definitely works. Just scouring through the Etherpad, I was trying to bring up some issues that have been raised, and there's two that seem to be called out as blockers or nice to haves for at least what you're doing, and that's 1568, which is should Helm install umbrella chart do individual deployments as an option, which may or may not be a subset of this conversation. There's another one which is the major versus minor upgrade version, which is 395. They seem to be called out as individual things. Just in the interest of time, we have 9 minutes left. Everybody seems to have really good ideas. I don't know how to capture this. And as an action item, do we want to just say, go get these ideas into Helm issues, and then at least we can have a discussion? Because it sounds like the requirements need to be solidified by a conversation still. It's longer than this 1 hour.
Yeah, I would suggest that will be for both of our communities, kinda. So from our part, we'll create issues for stuff that we need, and can we agree that to use the GitHub issue tracker as a communication channel? And let's just link the issues to the Etherpad so people can navigate their way easily.
Yes. What we've done in maybe the first or the second meeting, and I'm not sure if you were there was something like global variables was blocking everybody on this call. So Matt got that pulled in to the next milestone for the next release because it was obvious that it would unblock everybody. And that's kind of, we want to be able to escalate things that are large-scale blockers for everybody trying to do this work and come to a decision and see whether they can get in a release. And
Cool.
Matt was I don't want to speak for Matt, but he was kind of soliciting, hey, we're looking at 2.3. What is it from your list would be the most highest priority to get you past the next hurdle? And let's talk about that, figure out what proposal is and get some code in. Whether, you know, these gents write it or you guys write it, doesn't, just needs to be an agreement on how it's implemented, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think to sum all that up, put it in an issue, and then we just raise issues as being, hey, everybody in OpenStack Helm agrees that this would be something useful for whether it's Cola Kubernetes, whether it's the AIC guys over at AT&T or the SAP people.
That sounds fantastic. You know,
I'm probably missing a lot of people, but yeah, this is an opportunity to raise large-scale blockers.
One thing I'd point out from the Cola Kubernetes side is, you know, maybe this would be helpful for the Helm community in general, is to give our relative priorities and in terms of what is blocking us versus high, medium, and low. And then we could also add our what and why we think it's important. I don't know like how you generally, if you have a template for filing issues, but I find that to be helpful. If you have a template, we can use that. It's really up to you, Matt. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, we do not currently have a template. But
there's a format though.
Yeah, we do fairly carefully apply labels and stuff like that.
Sure. So I think if we can at least get the issues in with a kind of a template that we make up, and then, you know, if you're okay with that, if not, then I'm not quite sure how to proceed with the community.
That actually would be really helpful for us. Just, you know, it gets hard to keep the context of who's asking for what and why. And
yeah,
the kind of bigger picture issues are very helpful for us to understand.
Great.
The high level story that someone's trying to tell and where they're running into hiccups along the way. Speed bumps, that's the right.
Yeah. Take a big over speed bumps.
When I drive my car over speed bumps, it bounces very fast.
Okay, was there anything else other than let's go and get these issues filed? I think just getting the ideas out of your head and the use cases onto paper into the issue queue so that we could start to formalize and get some comments around them and start to come up with how they could be implemented or resolved.
Yeah, that sounds great. Just a quick question on 2.3. So you said 2.2 is February 15th, thereabouts. When's 2.3, or do you know yet, or is that?
We usually figure that out once we figure out how big the chunk of work is we're going to try and bite off. We tend to try to go around six weeks.
Okay.
But that's more heuristic than anything else.
Yeah, I think you answered that before, and you know, I've got like a million conversations going on, so it's hard for me to remember everything. I appreciate you for answering it a second time.
Yes, 6 weeks actually be quite nice for us as well, because that will be just after our face-to-face meeting in Atlanta. So we can by then we should know what will land in 2.3 and we can prepare for it.
Okay, fantastic. Was there anything else? I'll just open up the floor generally. 4 minutes left.
Was somebody going to capture the tags idea?
I captured I put it in parking lot, the labeling, but if who would like to create an issue? Who had that idea?
I think it was Matt.
Oh, the labeling. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Did you want to put that in?
It's similar to what Justin's been working on. I'm getting your first name right. It is Justin.
Yeah, it's Justin. Yeah.
Okay. It's similar to what you've already been working on. So maybe you and I can chat about it a little bit later today.
Okay, sounds good.
Slack, and then I'll try and put together a proposal based on whether or not we think that's a better idea or worse idea than going by path or something like that.
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I'll do that. I'll take that one.
Anything else?
I just want to say this is super productive. I didn't think it would be, but it has been, and I hope we can stick with it because this is, at least for Cola Kubernetes, this is super valuable, and the Cola project in general.
Plus one.
Yeah. So thank you for your time. I know it's expensive, and everybody's time is expensive. So thanks everybody for attending.
Yes, I echo that sentiment. Thank you for saying that. The only other thing, just to call out, we don't have a final resting place for the home of this meeting. So it was kind of very embryonic, and we didn't want to put it under the formal bounds, but we don't know where it sits. So if anybody wants to have some ideas of where this thing needs to live long term. We're kind of in, getting things up and getting things running at the moment. The long-term goal isn't to have kind of this, ragtag meeting and have something more formal that other people can see and view. So obviously, if people have ideas, I'm happy to relinquish the control to some sovereign entity.
So who would that be? Would that be like the CNCF or?
This is exactly what we don't know. I don't know if we need to get OpenStack and CNCF talking. I don't know who has ideas about that. I can definitely start the conversation, but I kind of wanted to see feedback from the people in this, because if it wasn't valuable, I didn't want to start the conversation.
Yeah, so Lachi, I can tell you I joined the board of directors on the 24th for OpenStack. And
congratulations.
Thanks. I mean, it's more like a service than like being congratulated. It's like a stake as a service. But if I could,
is that the word? Condolences.
Yes. Yeah, condolences, right, exactly.
Yeah.
If I could start the conversation from the OpenStack side, but I don't know really the CNCF side very well.
I can start the conversation. If you think that we need to start it now, and this is something valuable, I think this is going to come up in many forums down the track, cross collaboration, cross foundation.
Right.
So I think we'll start talking about it soon.
Yeah, and it's not just for this meeting, but OpenStack and Kubernetes playing well together in general.
Yep.
Connecting those two parties would be good to get going.
I think these two huge communities kind of were around each other and pretty shy to communicate. But yeah, that will be great first step to establish some broader cross communication between those two, I think. So that was I'll be honest with you guys, that was one of the plans why we started this thing in the first place, to bring those two communities together.
The two foundations, but yes, that's right.
Yes. So Stephen, how about we follow up offline? I'll put that as an action item. I'm going to be out next week, so maybe we pick it up the week after, but I can kind of help connect the dots on the CNCF side.
Cool. I have to warn you, I'm not officially part of the board yet until the 24th, so I won't be able to do it.
I have to wait for your inauguration.
They call it the board seating, whatever that means.
All righty. That concludes our time. I will post the video and send it an email, and the next working group will be in 2 weeks. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Super productive.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.